In all of my years of being in the manga community, I don't think I've seen anything as weird as this. I've seen my fair share of weirdness in this community, ranging from the typical simping over a 2D waifu, to discussions on why a manga about a dog man trying to do stuff to his dad is peak writing. This is real, by the way, and it's not bad. I recommend it. What I find weird though doesn't have to do with any of this. Rather, this strange anomaly is related to these series and their connection to one person. That person being Tatsuki Fujimoto. For those of you that don't know, the authors of these series all used to work under him during the creation of Fire Punch. After its completion, these guys went on to create works that have since been very successful. It's worth noting that these guys aren't newbies either. They've been in the industry longer than Fujimoto has and have a few works under their belt. This really makes you wonder whether Fujimoto had really good ideas to share, or if these guys just went insane after working with him. I wouldn't be surprised since Fire Punch was interesting to say the least. This is a real panel from the manga, by the way. I didn't make this up. But I'm not here to discuss these guys. Rather, my attention is drawn towards Fujimoto's latest assistant and his manga Centuria. Created by Toru Kuramori, the series launched back in 2024 and is the third one he's created. Our protagonist in the story is Julian, a young kid whose goal is to protect his little sister from a destiny that's yet to come. As a character, Julian has been through a lot for someone his age. As a kid, he was sold into slavery by his mom, faced constant abuse from his master, and witnessed the death of many people. Even when he's escaped, he's thrown back into slavery and is almost killed in the process. The only reason he's alive is because of the compassion of Mira and the other slaves. With everything that's happened to him, he's developed this distrustful nature towards everyone, so when he's shown compassion and kindness for the first time, he's wary of them since he has nothing to offer in return. But as Mira points out, this helps them retain their humanity. This phrase, along with the other slaves' compassion, starts to change Julian's views and sets him on the path to regain his humanity. Mira herself is a big factor since she treats Julian like her own son and shows him what the love of a mother is, something that he's never experienced before. Their bond, along with the other slaves, is beautiful and it shows how important kindness is no matter how bleak the situation is. Where it shines the most is when later on, the slaves are killed off, but as they're getting picked off one by one, they still make the effort to keep both Mira and Julian alive. The scene itself is gruesome, and what makes it worse is that they're getting killed just so the captain is able to get his money back from them as insurance. Things seem hopeless, but just before they're killed, time seemingly stops, and from the ocean, something emerges. It doesn't say what it is, only that it'll grant Julian and Mira a wish, once a sacrifice of true love is made. With everything that's happened, Julian wants to save Mira and her child as a way to repay her for the kindness that she's shown him. He gives her a smile of goodbye, but just before he could do so, Mira sacrifices herself, cutting open her stomach and giving birth to a newborn baby. She gives Julian one last hug and falls into the ocean. With the sacrifice fulfilled, Julian's wish is for proof that the lives that were sacrificed wasn't a waste. This wish manifests itself into strength beyond human comprehension, and he uses it to kill all his shipmates as violently as they did to the slaves. Along with his new strength, he's also been granted an extra 100 lives. With everyone dead, he leaves with his newborn sister on a boat to the new continent. For our first chapter, there was a lot to unpack, but at the same time, it was an amazing read. The exploration into themes such as humanity and bonds are told using darker aspects such as slavery, abuse of power, and horror was truly a sight to behold. Before this, his other series were never as dark as Centuria, but they still dealt with mature topics and complex ideas. Each one was a different genre, but one thing that stayed consistent was the structure and the theme of humanity. Each story featured a broken and isolated main character that had a rough childhood growing up. Through the compassion and kindness of someone else, they start to heal and have, in a way, regained their humanity. With Centuria, the series feels like it's a culmination of all his past works coming together. Two stories that help to play a part in it are Berserk and Vinland Saga. You can see how both their setting and core themes help to shape Centuria's story. Much like his predecessors, Julian has a tragic backstory and is slowly trying to heal from it. But unlike Guts and Thorfinn, his journey is driven by a need to protect his sister rather than vengeance. Julian as a character really changes from how he was in the first chapter. He becomes a selfless person that will do whatever it takes to make Diana happy and is willing to get his hands dirty in order to protect her. He's not perfect by any means, as he still has his moments of self-loathing and doubt about giving Diana a happy life. He's by far the most compelling character in the story, taking on the best and worst aspects of both Guts and Thorfinn. We do eventually meet other characters that stay beside him, and they have a certain level of depth that draws me toward them. The art style is very Berserk-like, with how the monsters are drawn and just how grotesque they are. At the moment, we don't know for sure whether they're a god or a demon, and they remain the biggest mystery of the story. Their presence is powerful, and I love how they take up the entire page or two to really emphasize how otherworldly they are. In terms of pacing, the story takes its time to build up to a big event. When things start to pick up, the pacing doesn't stop, and I appreciate how there's no filler in between. At the moment, the story is still setting up for a big event, and there are hints of foreshadowing as to what's to come, so I'm excited to see what's about to happen. And that's about all I can say about the story. This world that Kuromori has crafted is unforgiving and dangerous. In it, people are just as evil as the monsters, and no one, not even if you're the main character, are spared from death. Others would have given up and accepted their fate, but for Julian, he wants to keep going in order to honor the people that have died for him and Diana. He wants to find happiness for her, and along the way, we want him to find happiness for himself. It's a heart-wrenching story that shows us how even in the most hopeless of situations, you need to keep holding on to your humanity. Without it, we're nothing more than hollowed versions of ourselves, dark and twisted beyond what we once were. I love stories like these, and if you're a fan of Berserk or Vinland Saga, I highly recommend you give it a try as you feel right at home with the setting and atmosphere of it. With that said, I hope you all have a good day, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on reading.